Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about questions that smart drivers have had and answering some of those questions. And the answers that I'm going to give you are going to give information to other smart drivers who are probably asking the same questions, because often I found that if one person is asking the question, there's probably two or three other people who are asking the same question, so it'll give everybody the same answer. Hall Phase is here. Hi there, Hall Phase. Apologies for a little bit of a late start there. Had to get my water, my Spider-Man cup. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and congratulations to all the people that have passed in the last week. There's been lots of people. It's summertime. Lots of people are off getting their license and those types of things, so doing really well, and good luck to those coming up who have a road test scheduled this week or next week here and are going to be taking their road test. And if you have any questions about that, we can help you be successful for any class of license. And if you're new to Smart Drive Test, consider subscribing. Smart Drive Test helps new drivers get a license regardless of class, veteran drivers to remain crash free, and CDL drivers to start a career as a truck or bus driver. So I'll answer all your questions here regardless of what class of license that you're going for. And again, consider subscribing. And if you like what you see here, hit that thumbs up button and give it a like. And especially for those of you on the replay, give it a thumbs up and ask any questions that you might have. Yes, Hall Phase, you are the first one here. And audio seems a little different. Both are working. Okay, Corey, just give me a second here. You're right, the audio or the video here, so I'll just change that. Thanks, Corey. Apologies, just one, bear with me here. There we go. That should be a little bit better there. Okay, so thanks for that. Hall Phase, the chat does not work for you. What do you mean that the chat doesn't work for you? I'm not understanding what you mean here. Okay, so we changed the light there a little bit, so it should be a little bit brighter. And yeah, so we'll get over here to some of the questions that we've had this week, and I'll answer some of those. And just before I get started on some of the questions, what I'm going to do is just reiterate to you the okay, so what you're saying, Hall Phase, is you're saying that the chat on YouTube, what I need to do is I need to put it back up on the screen. Is that what you're saying I need to do? That it's not, the chat replay does not work. Okay, so that's a YouTube issue, and we need to talk to YouTube. And so what you're suggesting is that I put it back up on the screen. Okay, so Hall Phase is a little late to do that this week, but I'll do that next week for sure, okay? Mrs. Milton, I'm taking my road test tomorrow, sir, nervous and scared. Yes, remember to breathe, try and get a good night's sleep, and eat a good breakfast. Don't go there without that. There we go. Thanks, Corey. And Corey Bricks for Wheels is the moderator here. His username is in blue, and Corey's really good at moderating and keeping out the pranksters and answering and helping with the answering of questions. And as well, Corey is able to get the videos that will give you further information for the questions that I answer for you. So, and the other thing is, what I was going to say is just to reiterate, for the purposes of a road test, there's 4 fundamental components for any road test anywhere in the world for any class of license. And those 4 components are speed management, space management, observation, and communication. You have to have those 4 components in place to be successful on a road test. So space management. Don't get near any other road users or fixed objects, and maintain good space around your vehicle. So stop at the correct place at stop sign intersections. Stop before the stop line, the crosswalk or sidewalk, and if those 2 things are not there, stop where the 2 roads meet. And oftentimes there's a kind of a crease line there in the pavement where the 2 roads intersect, and that's where you want to stop. When you stop in traffic, stop behind the traffic in front of you so that you can see the tires of the vehicle in front of you making clear contact with the pavement, and following distance of 2 to 3 seconds. And the reason we want 2 to 3 seconds of following distance is because time is relative, and speed is relative, and as your speed increases, the distance between the vehicles increases. So for example, at 100 kilometers an hour, which is 60 miles an hour, you're traveling at approximately 27 meters per second, or approximately 33 yards. So if you're traveling at a following distance of 2 seconds at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, you're going to have a following distance of 54 meters or approximately 60 yards. And that's going to decrease at 60 kilometers an hour or 40 miles an hour to 17 meters per second. So you're traveling at 17 meters per second, so you have a following distance of 17 meters, or 34 meters rather, and approximately 36 yards. So you can see the difference in the distance as your speed increases and decreases. So that's why we measure in time when you have your following distance. So that's space management. And then speed management, you need to do the posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. And for those of you doing CDL vehicles, if you're going up a hill, you have to do the capability of the vehicle. That's speed management. And you also have to do the speed appropriate to the conditions of the roadway. So if you're in congested areas, you're going to slow down, obviously, or you're in a suburban area with lots of parked cars on either sides or high density pedestrian traffic, then you're going to slow down. Now, communication, you got to communicate effectively with other road users, and we do that via your turn signals, eye contact, hand gestures, all 5 fingers. Don't tell other people that they're number 1 on a road test. Lights, and eye contact, I think I already said that, and the position of your vehicle on the roadway all communicate your intentions to other road users. And then finally, observation. You have to observe well with other traffic. You have to have a scanning pattern in place, and Corey will look for the video on speed control. That scanning pattern is kind of buried in that video, but how to control your speed, that scanning pattern is in there and will help you control your speed of your vehicle. And you have to shoulder check. You have to shoulder check every time, 2 times for a turn, once approximately half a block before the turn and once immediately before the turn. And if you've been at the corner for a while waiting to turn, either left or right, you got to shoulder check again immediately before you turn. 2 times for every lane changes, and 2 times every time you move the vehicle laterally. And that goes hand in hand with communication. So those are the 4 fundamental components of a road test: speed management, space management, observation, and communication. And then I'll tie that into some of the questions that some of the smart drivers have asked to be successful on their road test. All right, so Keith is here as well. I had a quick question. When making a right or left turn onto a street where there is a stop sign, do you have to make a complete stop behind the line, or can you immediately creep up to get a view of the cars coming to make your turn? No, Keith, you have to stop at the correct position first. You have to stop behind the stop line, behind the crosswalk line or sidewalk, or where the 2 roads meet. And then if you can't see, treat it as a yield. And Corey will get the video for you on stop signs and where to stop at the correct position at a stop sign intersection. Corey, especially for the purposes of the road test, no, for the road test you need to make a complete stop at, not at the stop sign, Corey, at the stop line or at the crosswalk line. Okay, so there you go. Speed control, and then Corey will look for the video as well on stop signed intersections and where you stop at stop signed intersections. The stop sign, the position of the stop sign doesn't have anything to do with where you stop at a stop signed intersection. It's the crosswalk line, before the crosswalk line, or before the stop line, before the crosswalk line, or where the 2 roads meet. And you have to come to a complete stop, and you have to stop. So when you're driving up, you're just going to see the stop line, and just as it disappears under the front of the car, that's when you stop. That way you're going to be just with the front of the vehicle just behind the stop line, and that's the position where you want to stop for the purposes of a road test. So that's going to be that. And Anita's here. Hi there, Anita. Okay, so we're going to get to Jessica Love. Asked, she was watching the merging onto freeways video, and said that her driving instructor said that she couldn't slow down for semi-trucks. Now, it wasn't exactly clear what she was saying about, or what her instructor had said to her about semi-trucks when you're merging onto a highway or a freeway. However, if you're merging out onto the highway, so we'll say that you're merging out, you're in a vehicle, and you look over and there's a semi-truck, and the semi-truck is going to merge in beside you. So they're going to be on the freeway doing 50 or 60 miles an hour, and then you're trying to get up to speed, and you're going to move in behind that semi-truck. Now, what I would suggest to you is, depending on how fast the semi-truck is going, because oftentimes they're going to be doing the traffic flow, so they're going to be going faster than the posted speed limit. for the purposes of a road test, if the semi-truck is going faster than the posted speed limit, then slow down, adjust your speed, and pull in behind the semi-truck. Now, if you're not on a road test, you might want to actually floor it on the acceleration lane and get in front of the semi-truck. If the CDL driver, the professional driver in the truck or the bus, is paying attention to what you're doing and getting onto the highway, what they're going to do is they're going to let off the throttle a little bit, and they're just going to let you move in front of them. But for the purposes of a road test, if you're just coming in at the posted speed limit, I would suggest that you move in behind that vehicle. Now, the other thing is if you're on the highway yourself and you're driving a passenger vehicle and a big semi-truck is coming out onto the highway, know that that semi-truck or bus or larger vehicle is going to be going slower on the acceleration lane, and it's unlikely that that vehicle is going to get up to speed. So what you need to do is you need to either get over, you need to accelerate to get past the vehicle, or you need to slow down and let the vehicle move over and get onto the highway. And this is what I go back to again and again about that idea about social driving, that driving is a social activity and that we all need to make compensations and slight adjustments in our driving and our speed and our space in order to help other people and accommodate other people to get onto the roadway. Because again, you can be right or you can be dead right, and you can, if you insist on having the right of way, you risk having a crash and you put other road users at risk as well. So sometimes you might just want to give up the right of way a little bit to help other road users get out onto the roadway. Okay, Ryan, any help for me to pass my Class A in Ontario? Yes, Ryan. Ryan, are you working under the new rules there in Ontario for the Class A license? Lucy's here. Keith, you are most welcome. Hall phase, after you stop for a stop, you should slowly pull out to look for traffic. Yes, after you stop at the correct position, hall phase, you need to treat it as a yield. And you need to move, you need to creep up until you can see and then proceed. Okay? So, is this your 1 year? No, I don't think it's my 1 year just yet, hall phase. I think probably another week away from a 1 year anniversary. I think it's in September. I'd have to look at that. Okay, so Ryan, so you're in the MELT program. All right. And just remind me, Ryan, what does MELT stand for? I think it's an acronym, is it not? Okay, so essentially, Ryan, what I'm going to say to you is that any CDL course, commercial driver's license course, is going to consist of 5 components. There's going to be turning, shifting, pre-trip inspection, hook and unhook, and then there's going to be backing. Now, because of the new regulations in Ontario, unfortunately, you're going to get a lot of other information in terms of becoming a CDL driver that may confuse you. Hours of service regulations, load security, different types of trailers, all of this other information that potentially is going to overwhelm you. And really, for new drivers who are learning to drive, that is not what you need to focus on. You really need to focus on those 5 components of learning how to drive the truck, learning how to shift the truck, learning how to drive the truck safely in urban areas and around corners and those types of things. And again, I come back to those 5 points. Turning, and I cannot stress this enough, turning is probably one of the hardest things for CDL drivers to do safely and correctly in a large commercial vehicle and get it around corners, because as you're coming up to the corner, you have to assess the intersection and the configuration of the intersection in terms of its physical engineering, and then you have to know how big your vehicle is and you have to get it around corners. The next thing that's going to overwhelm you is shifting, because shifting a non-synchromesh transmission consists of 3 things. You have to match the engine speed, the road speed, and the gear. Those 3 things have to line up or it's not going to work. And a lot of that takes a lot of practice. And unfortunately, for the first week or 10 days, all of your attention is going to be focused on that gearbox, and you're going to be trying to learn how to shift that. But at one and the same time, you got to deal with traffic, you got to get the truck around corners, and you got to shift the transmission. Then there's the pre-trip inspection. Yes, fortunately, the pre-trip inspection is finite, but for the first 2 or 3 days, it's overwhelming because there's a lot of information that you have to know and do for the purposes of passing a pre-trip inspection. And then the 2 minor things are hook and unhook, and you have to do those in a certain sequence. And then backing, and depending on the licensing center where you take your test, backing can be from a straight line back around a corner, or it can be a parallel park, which we had in Victoria, British Columbia, which was fairly difficult for new students. Okay, so Libin, now that I have my license, I'm finding traffic to be a pain, especially braking when real close to cars. Should we move the cars and traffic if only a few feet, or just wait? Just Okay, should we move with the cars in traffic if only a few feet, or just wait? Okay, so Livin, so if you're in congestion and the cars just move up a couple of feet, don't bother moving up, just wait. And then once you get a space or maybe a couple of spaces, then you want to move up. But one of the things, Livin, that I talk about with defensive posturing is that you want to maintain space around your vehicle. If you don't maintain space around your vehicle and you're near other vehicles, you're near other road users, you're near fixed objects, you're at a higher risk of being involved in a crash. So I always encourage people and counsel people to maintain space around your vehicle, because if you can maintain space, it's less likely that you're going to hit anything. And it's also going to do with adjusting your speed to maintain your space. So try and stay away from other vehicles. That way you're going to find that you're going to have to do less aggressive braking. Lucy, I agree with you, but I don't agree with keep it up with the speed just to keep up. I go between the post and about 5 miles above it. I feel that if others don't like it, they can go around me. And I agree with you, Lucy, that a lot of times you want to drive the traffic flow. I do encourage students after they get a license to drive the traffic flow, because it keeps you predictable. And in conjunction with space management around your vehicle, I also advocate predictability, that you are predictable. And if you stay with the traffic flow, which is what you say is about 5 kilometers, sometimes 10 kilometers an hour above the posted speed limit, then you're going to be more predictable. And if you can be more predictable to other traffic by keeping up with the traffic flow, then it's less likely that you're going to do something unpredictable and you're going to risk being in a crash. So I do encourage students to keep up with the traffic flow. Okay, so Devin, taking your road test tomorrow. Good luck with your road test. All the best. Do let us stop by and let us know how that goes. Okay, and you've got some good luck there. Yes, and Corey put up the video on following distance. That's really great. Yeah, Miss Milton, what is the point system for parallel parking and 3-point turn? Like if you make some mistakes, or do you automatically fail you on them? Miss Milton, you don't automatically fail. You will fail. Now, one of the things in the video, in the parallel park video, that I did say is that you're not going to fail for hitting the curb. And I just want to clarify that, because some people misinterpret that what I actually meant to say was if you touch the curb. So if you back up, you have control of the vehicle, and you back up and you touch the curb, and you went, oh, I touched the curb, and then you pull forward and you adjust, you're not going to fail for that. But if you do back up and bang the curb and the body of the vehicle rocks over the chassis, then yes, you will fail for that. Or you push one of the tires up over the curb, then you will fail for that, because what that shows the examiner is that you don't have due care and control of the vehicle. You don't have enough feel of the vehicle to know that you've actually touched the curb. But if you just touch and then move forward and adjust, then you're not going to fail for that. Now, parallel parking and 3-point turn, you got to do all the pieces right, and there's a couple of videos here that will help you out on that. You will lose a few points, but you're not going to fail unless you have an inordinate number of pull-ups. So if you pull up more than 2 times, it's not likely that you're going to pass your road test, because the fundamental component of a road test is to demonstrate that you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing road conditions, and you can respond to those. So you have to be able to parallel park with just 1 or 2 pull-ups at the most. And again, 3-point turns, same thing. You got to be able to do it 3-point turns and communicate effectively and observe effectively with other traffic. And if you look at the videos here on the channel on both of those parallel parking, actually look at the playlist on parallel parking, because there's parallel parking between 2 vehicles, and other variables, parking between cones, that'll help you out. And then the 3-point turn will help you out for the purposes of your road test. So there's lots of good videos and lots of good information that will help you with those. But if you just have a couple of corrections, you're just going to lose some demerits or gain some points, but you're not going to fail. Okay? So, Libin, you're most welcome. And Hall Phase, they should raise the speed limit so those sites can actually be followed. I'm not following you. Hall phase, they actually, here in British Columbia, they actually have raised the speed limit. The speed limit on the Trans-Canada Highway is now 120 kilometers an hour, so they have raised the speed limit here. 50 kilometers an hour is slow for a major road, and I do agree with you that 50 kilometers an hour is slow on some major 4-lane roads, Hall phase, and it probably should be 70. However, most of the time, if you're on these major 4-lane roads, these big roads like Shepherd in Toronto and whatnot, the traffic flow is going to be 60 or 70 kilometers an hour. So even though the posted speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour, the traffic flow usually travels 5 to 10 kilometers an hour faster, and police are not going to give you a ticket for keeping up with traffic flow. Unless you're speeding and weaving in out of traffic, it's not likely police are going to give you a ticket for that. Okay. There we go. Lots of good videos. Corey's got those up. That's really great. Thanks for that. Okay. Okay, so one more. Here we go. So 13 Villain 13 asked me about how to pass his Class 1 license. He's training in Castlegar, and same thing as what I talked about before, the 5 components of a CDL license, which are turning, shifting, pre-trip inspection, hook and unhook, and then backing up. And depending on which test center you're going to be taking your license at, that can be somewhat stressful. And the one thing I will say about backing up a semi-trailer or a larger unit with a trailer on the back of it, that if you can get a truck and trailer, any kind of truck and trailer, like a pickup truck and a horse trailer or something like that, then the skills that you learn for that are all going to be transferable into the larger unit. You just need a bit more space. And again, the key to backing up successfully is the setup, and ideally, if you can, try and back up in a straight line, or try and back up around a corner on the driver's side. That's going to be your 2 ideals, but ideally you want to try and back up in a straight line. That's what you want to be doing. Okay. Hall phase, were there any new videos this week? No new videos this week. Hall phase, I've been busy on another project, so I haven't had any time to do new videos, but I'm trying to keep up with the live feeds. I'm trying to keep up with answering questions and those types of things, so that's what we're doing now. Yeah, but I'll certainly let you know, Hall phase. I'll send out a message on the community tab and get caught up with that. Buddha, how to maintain your vehicle on an expressway. So when you're saying how to maintain your vehicle, are you talking about Buddha, are you talking about maintaining a speed and keeping your vehicle in the lane? Is that what you're talking about in terms of an expressway? Just let me know that. All right. Okay, so Annabelle Moriarty asked me about, he was watching the video on oversteering and asked me what understeering is and is it dangerous. And yes, both understeering and oversteering are dangerous. And what I'll talk about in terms of oversteering, what happens in oversteering is the back end of the vehicle comes around, and in understeering what happens is you turn the wheels and the vehicle continues to go straight. Now, oftentimes what happens in understeering, it happens on slippery conditions, or you're simply going too fast and the front end of the vehicle is heavy or it's slippery and it just keeps going. So that's understeering. And understeering, the saying about that is oversteering scares the passenger and understeering scares the driver, is kind of the funny about that. So that's the difference between oversteering and understeering. And I'll tell you a story about understeering that I had when I was a new driver learning how to drive in the wintertime. I had my new pickup truck. It wasn't a new pickup truck, but it was new to me. And driving in the wintertime, and it was a pickup truck. There was absolutely no weight in the back. And hit the brakes where I wanted to turn. And one of the things you'll learn about driving in the wintertime is that you can't steer and brake at the same time, and I didn't know this, and I turned the steering wheel and braked, and the vehicle just kept going straight because I had understeering. So that's what happened. So that's what understeering is. And yes, it can be dangerous, especially if you're traveling at speed and trying to go around a corner and you're going too fast and the vehicle will not come around. So yes, understeering can be as dangerous as oversteering. All right, so BC Buddha wanted to know how to maintain vehicle. So the video you want to look at, Buddha, is you want to look at the video on how to center your vehicle in the lane. That will give you information about how to look farther down the road and center your vehicle in the roadway. And as well, speed control and the video on cruise control, and Corey will get those up for you. The video on cruise control, if you're on the highway, I really advocate using cruise control because it does a lot of things. It has good benefits. It helps you to maintain a constant speed limit, and reduces the chances of you getting a speeding ticket because your speed's not wandering up and down. Second, it'll reduce distracted driving, and third, it improves your fuel economy because your engine will run at a constant speed. So cruise control is really good if you can do that as well. Okay, Sanu, how do you pass maneuverability? Sanu, you want to look at the video on how to learn to drive and work with some of those 36-inch, 1 meter tall pylons in the parking lot, and as well, there's a couple of other exercises in that video that will help you out with that, so have a look at that. All right, there you go. So 3-point turn video for Miss Milton, that's great. There's my buddy Tim, basic Joomla tutorials. Happy BC Day, I missed you early, I was at the park. That's awesome. So you're at the park out having some fun there, Tim, that's great. How's the Discord? Hall phase, like I said, I'm off on a different project. I'm renovating a house right now, so it hasn't been coming along at all. I've been struggling just to get my live feeds in every week. So yeah, that's what's going on. Adrian Walker, I don't know if you remembered my comment some months ago, but I had commented about my drive test where the instructor was rushing me, and because of that I failed my G2 test. Okay, and just letting you know, I did my G2 test on Thursday and I passed. Thank you so much. That is awesome news. Adrian, thank you so much for letting us know. That's really great. Awesome. I'm so glad that you persisted and you're successful and now you've got your G2. That is brilliant news. I'm so happy for you. So happy for you. Did you have a big celebration, and are you going on any road trips? Do you have any road trips planned? Hall phase. If a motorbike kicks your car, a rider, can you plow into them in your car and don't get in trouble for it? That's called road rage, Hall phase, and yeah, all of that is just dangerous. Adrian, you're most welcome. Alicia, do manual transmissions have engine braking? Excuse me. Alicia, yes, some manual transmissions do have engine brakes, especially on the larger trucks. They will have engine brakes. Even some automatic transmissions in the higher end pickup trucks that are capable of towing big trailers will have engine brakes on them. So that is one of the things that you can have on. It depends on the specifications of the unit. Okay, so Sanu, I have my driver's test tomorrow and it's raining tomorrow, so any tips? Yes. Sanu, make sure that you know how to turn the windshield wipers on, and you can do that without looking at actually where they are. So you're going to know that they're on the blinkers, and you just turn them on and figure out whether you can turn them on intermittent or whether you can turn them on full depending on how hard it's raining. And as well, I would suggest that you turn your lights on as well if it's raining. That way it's going to keep you safer and those types of things. Hall phase, have a great night, mate. All the best. Thanks for showing up and thanks for your questions. Have a good one. Okay, Adrian, no trips. I'm staying off the road for a while. I had too much practice. Never too much practice, Adrian. Never too much practice. Lucy, what is the best to prepare to drive a semi for the first time after driving nothing bigger than a Chevy 4-door? Lucy, if you're working towards driving a semi, probably the best thing to do is just to go to a driving school and work with the driving examiner. They're going to take you to an area where you don't have very much traffic, so it's going to be fairly easy to get used to the truck and those types of things. As well, the instructor will give you an introduction to it, and they'll give you, hopefully they've got a closed circuit area that they can work in, or a back road or someplace like that. That's what I used to do when I was working with students for the first time or two, is I'd take them out to an area that had low density traffic and just let them get used to the vehicle and shifting and turning and those types of things. It's a 20, Alicia, what am I missing? Okay, so Alicia, no, your 2014 compact sedan is not going to have an engine brake. However, you can slow the vehicle down using the engine. You just take your foot off the throttle. Any vehicle will do that. It will start to slow down as soon as you take your foot off the throttle. But that 2014 compact sedan won't have an engine brake per se, as what they're called. Okay, Roshan, do you have any advice on how to use the steering wheel to do sharp turns, such as a right turn, for example? Yes, I do. Roshan, Corey will get you the video on how to learn to drive. There's some exercises in there, and what I suggest, and I suggest this for all new drivers who are learning how to drive, just starting out, is go to a parking lot, get some of those 36-inch, 1 meter tall pylons or delineators. You can rent them at a local rental shop and put some of those out and use those in a parking lot and get used to the steering wheel, get used to the primary controls, backing up, and those types of things. All of that can help you out, and that will make it easier for you, okay? So that's going to help you out. And again, I'll just pause here for a minute. If you're watching on the replay, hit that thumbs up. If you hadn't hit the thumbs up already, give it a thumbs up. Appreciate all of that. And if you're new to Smart Drive Test, consider subscribing. And again, if you're watching on the replay, we really like to hear from you. So leave a comment, share the videos, and all of that helps everybody out and helps all of those who are working towards their license, regardless of class, and shares that information and makes sure and helps people with their success. That's what I was trying to say. So hit that thumbs up button. All right, World 2018, can you make a vid on roundabouts with multiple lanes? I can, but unfortunately I don't have access to any roundabouts here with multiple lanes. I'd have to go back to my favorite roundabout in Victoria, so the next time I do that, I'll definitely do that. And I don't know, YGO World 2018, whether you've seen the video on roundabouts that I have here, but I don't have one on multiple roundabouts, but we can definitely do that for you, okay? Gaddy, hey, I've been practicing with the push-pull method of steering wheel, but my husband says I should do hand over hand, and it's a real challenge. Do I have to use hand over hand steering in New York? Gaddy, yes, I think it is hand over hand. What I would suggest to you, Gaddy, is to do a practice driving test with a local driving school, and they can help you out with that specific question, because even though I give you some general information and the different ways that you can turn the steering wheel, either push-pull or hand over hand, a local driving instructor will be able to give you more precise information than I can, and that's what I would suggest to you as well. A driving instructor at a local driving school will be able to take you on the test routes and give you feedback, specific feedback on the skills and techniques that you're going to need to pass your road test and be successful. Okay? So, next question. I've had a couple of questions. Abdul Afan, what do you shoulder check? What do you look at, the mirror or the window? So he wanted to know in terms of observation for the purposes of a road test when he is shoulder checking. I apologize if it was a woman. It might be a man or a woman. Anyway, when you shoulder check, what you're doing is you're looking 90 degrees. Simply 90 degrees in the direction that you're going to turn. So if you're going to turn left, you 90 degrees to the left. If you're going to turn right, 90 degrees to the right. And the reason that we only look 90 degrees is because you have 180 degrees out here. And if you take your hands and put your hands up, you can see your hands out in this direction. We have 180 degrees of peripheral vision in healthy adults. Okay, children, it's only about 130, 40 degrees. Excuse me. But in healthy adults, it's 180 degrees, and our peripheral vision is attracted to light and movement. Our sharp focal vision is only about this big at arm's length. And what happens is that if there's light or movement in our peripheral vision, then our central vision is attracted to it. And this is what happens when we're shoulder checking. We're simply shoulder checking 90 degrees, and our peripheral vision goes out 180 degrees, and we're checking for any light or movement in that area, in our blind areas of our vehicle. So that's why we're simply looking 90 degrees. So, excuse me, so when you're looking 90 degrees, you're simply looking out the window, either side that you're looking at. So that's all you're doing in terms of shoulder checking and where you're looking. So you're looking out the side windows, the windows on the passenger side and on the driver's side, so it'll be the other sides. But that's what you're looking for, okay? Millie, hi Rick, thanks so much for helping others and passing the road test by creating these videos. Please continue to keep the inspiration. Or can you do an update on night driving? Yes, Millie, I certainly can do an update on night driving. Now, Millie, when you're talking about that, are you talking about an update on night driving, just give you some comments and highlights of the night driving, or update my night driving video? Because I did see the one that Cameo Facile put out, and I wasn't totally impressed with it, because unfortunately he was more just going over the controls of the vehicle. It wasn't really talking about night driving per se. And one of the things that I find with students who are not entirely comfortable with night driving is that they have a great deal of difficulty finding the roadway. And so what I do in the night driving video is I try and give you landmarks to find the other traffic on the road, or to find where the road is going at night, because if you can find where the road is going, you can concentrate on your driving. And for most of us, all of us in fact, who have good vision, we have night vision. Our irises will increase in diameter, in size, so that we can see more of the roadway at night. And as I say, the farther you get away from urban areas, the more reliance you're going to have on your headlights. So know that you're going to rely more on your headlights, and your headlights on your vehicles are really not that good for finding the roadway at night. But for those of us in North America, most roadways have streetlights, and you're in pretty remote areas if you're in areas where there aren't streetlights and the roadway is not lit. So know that the farther you get away from urban areas, the more you're going to rely on your headlights. There's a few ways that you can find the roadway. One of those is to follow other traffic along the roadway, because most of the time we hope that other traffic is going to drive on the roadway. Look for reflectors in the center of the roadway, and know that lines are painted and there's glass in them that's going to be reflective of the light. Street signs are going to be along the roadway, so you can look at those for a marker. As well, if you can see utility poles along the roadway, that's going to help you find the roadway. And houses along the roadway are going to be lit with lights and those types of things, and that's going to give you an indication of where the roadway is going and those types of things. As well, if you're driving at night in the summertime right now, and in the fall and early spring, there's going to be animals out on the roadway. What I suggest is that you follow another vehicle, whether you're either 2 or 3 miles back, and every now and again you just see the taillights of that vehicle in front of you, then that's going to create kind of a barrier or a buffer in front of you to know that there's going to be animals on the roadway. So know that as well. But you want to be looking for the reflection of the light in the eyes of the animals. So you may have to slow down the farther you get away from urban areas, out on the highways and those types of things a little bit, so you're not overdriving your headlights. But for the most part, that's how you're going to find the roadway. And if you're in wooded area or bushes and those types of things, you want to be looking up at the sky. You can see the tree cut where the road is cut through the bush. And if you're going around a corner, you want to be looking through the bushes to see lights coming from the other way, to be able to find the roadway at night and those types of things. So those are some tips for driving at night. And as well, the other tip that I say in order to protect your night vision is to turn your dash lights down as low as you can. And there's often a switch somewhere on the dash there on the left next to the instrument panel. Turn them down as low as you can. And if you're on the highway or a freeway and you're driving at night, use cruise control. That way you can turn them down even farther, and you don't have to monitor your speed because you know how fast you're going. So those are some tips for driving at night. And thank you so much, Millie. You are most welcome. All right, Mackenzie, you're most welcome. All right, so a couple more questions here. Penier asked me about driving slower because he or she does not feel comfortable driving 50 kilometers an hour in the city, so they drive 40 kilometers an hour, and said that this is going to be okay for a road test. Unfortunately, this is not okay for a road test unless you're in a congested area, or there's lots of parking, you're in a suburban area, and there's lots of cars parked on either side, or there's high density of pedestrian traffic, so you're in a mall or a strip mall or something like that, and there's lots of pedestrian traffic around, or you're near bus stops or whatnot. Unless any of those situations culminate, you need to drive the posted speed limit, and you need to get your vehicle up to the posted speed limit as quickly as possible. And know that if you drive a little bit faster than the posted speed limit, it's not a matter of you can maintain the posted speed limit. You do want to maintain the posted speed limit most of the time. But if you drift over a little bit, if it's only 10 or 15 seconds and then you adjust it and you slow down again, because if you're going downhill, obviously you're going to have to brake to maintain speed, know that you can do that. But for the most part, you want to be adjusting the throttle, and you want to be driving at the posted speed limit as quickly as possible, and you want to get up to speed as quickly as possible. So posted speed limit, flow of traffic, or the capability of the vehicle for those doing CDL license, that's what speed you're going to be driving for the purposes of a road test. All right, and Adao Dubo asked, when doing U-turn, must you signal left every time? Yes, anytime that you move the vehicle laterally, anytime you do any sort of maneuver that moves the vehicle laterally or turns the vehicle, you need to signal. Minimum 3 flashes on the signal before you execute the maneuver, and 2 shoulder checks for whichever way that you're moving, whether it's left or right. So make sure that you observe, communicate before you do a maneuver. You need to do that, okay? Chip Rock asked me about the two schools of thinking in terms of doing a left-hand turn. The first school of thinking is that as many vehicles move into the intersection and turn left. I don't advocate that method of turning left. I advocate that you put the front steer tires on the front crosswalk line. That way you're committed to the turn, but you're not in the intersection. If you're in the intersection, you're at risk of being in a collision, because if somebody runs the light on the other side, you're going to get T-boned. And he seems to think that you're going to wait until the light turns. No, you're not going to wait till the light turns. You're going to be sitting there out of the intersection, but committed to the intersection. You're looking for the gap coming. When you see the gap coming, you're going to start moving forward into the intersection. And that way you've got a bit of speed to make your left-hand turn expediently, because you're meeting the gap. It's called meeting the gap. So when you're sitting there waiting and you're watching the oncoming traffic, you see the gap's moving towards you, you move up to the gap. When the car goes by, then you turn left, and you turn left to the left lane and then change lanes after you turn left. It's the same thing when you turn right. Right lane to right lane, left lane to left lane when you're turning. So the reason I advocate sitting front steer tires in the front crosswalk line, that way you're committed to the intersection, but you're not in the intersection in case something goes wrong, and you're going to stay much safer. All right, Gaddy, do you shoulder check before changing lanes or whilst changing lanes? No, Gaddy, before changing lanes. So mirror signal shoulder check, so you're going to turn your signal on, you're going to shoulder check, you're going to find your gap, you're going to make sure your gap's there, 3 flashes on the signal, shoulder check again, and then start moving over. So you shoulder check twice before you start moving over, minimum 3 flashes on the signal before you start moving to change lanes. That will guarantee you pass your road test. All right, so financial analysis asked me about 1 year driving experience, CDL driving experience, and wanted to work in the oil fields. All right, and this is for anybody who's going to truck driving school and getting a CDL license. You need to start looking for a job as soon as you start truck driving school, as soon as you start thinking that you're going to go and get a CDL license. Start talking to companies, start talking to these organizations and saying to them, I'm going to truck driving school, I'm getting my CDL license, and I'm looking for a job. And don't just be dissuaded when they say, no, we don't have anything, no, we're not interested. Know that all of these trucking companies in whatever area that you're going to be looking to work all know each other. And if you're calling up ABC Trucking Company and they say, no, we're not interested, we don't have anybody, you say to them, do not hang up, say to them, do you know anybody else who might be hiring new drivers or would be willing to put somebody in a truck? And they will say, yes, call Don over at BDC Trucking and he's looking for a driver and he'll consider you. So you need to talk to people, you need to network with people, and you need to do that as quickly and as soon as possible. Okay? Do that, and that way you're going to be successful in finding a job. And look at Bill Walker's stuff. As I said, Bill Walker was training with me 3 or 4 years ago, 3 years ago now, I think, and went to work in the oil fields. He finished truck driving school with me on Thursday. The next Tuesday, he was in the oil fields, working in the oil fields. And the reason that Bill was able to do that is because he talked to as many people as he could, and he networked with people, and he finally got on to somebody who knew somebody whose son was working in the oil fields as a mechanic, who knew somebody else, and he talked to people and he networked. Remember, 70% of jobs are not advertised. You need to call these people and you need to talk to them, and that's how you're going to be successful in getting a job. Andrew, can you rely on circle mirrors to replace checking blind spots with shoulder checks for long-term driving on your own? Andrew, no, I do not recommend those little convex mirrors to check blind spots. They do assist and they do really help, but I wouldn't rely on those solely in a passenger vehicle. I would continue to shoulder check, and even myself, I still continue to shoulder check, and I would advocate that you do that. It's the same thing as backup cameras. Yes, they are really great technology and they're really helpful, but do not rely on those solely to back up. You need to use all of the devices and skills and abilities and techniques that you have available to you to back up and do that successfully. So no, don't do that. All right, one more question. Sarah, what can I do when it's yellow and I want to turn left? So Sarah is talking about when he's in the intersection, the light goes to yellow, And this goes back to, again, what I was saying before about what I teach students is to front steer tires on the front crosswalk line. And you're watching the light, you're watching the oncoming traffic, you see that the light has gone to yellow. You have to turn now. And what you want to do is you want to start moving forward straight into the intersection. You're watching the oncoming traffic and you're making sure that the oncoming traffic is coming to a stop. When you are absolutely 110% sure that the oncoming traffic is coming to a stop, then you make your left-hand turn and you clear the intersection. Try not to get too freaked out about it. Know that you're in the intersection. Know that you own the intersection and you have to clear the intersection. If you freeze up on a yellow light in an intersection, that's an automatic fail on a road test. You have to and must clear that intersection on a yellow light. So know that if the light goes yellow, you've got your front steer tires on that front crosswalk line. You've got to start moving straight into the intersection when you're absolutely sure that the oncoming traffic has come to a stop. Then you make your left-hand turn and clear the intersection. That's what you do for the purposes of your road test. Okay, so Corey got the video up for the lane change. That'll help you out, Gaddy. And he also got the video up for looking for a job, CDL job smart, and that'll help you out and help you to find a job, because as I said, 70% of jobs are not advertised. You need to get on the phone, you need to network, you need to talk to people, and you need to talk to as many people as you can. And I know this is a tough thing for a lot of people, and this doesn't just apply to CDL drivers. This applies to anybody who is looking for a job. It's really tough to sell ourselves, to put ourselves out there and to ask people for help. But know that in my experience, all my years of finding a job, people are willing to help you out. So if you call them up and say, listen, I'm looking for a job, this is what I'm looking for, then people will help you out. So know that. See, but you got to get on the phone, you got to talk to people. And one of the other things that I find that really helps me out, especially now we have cell phones and cordless phones and those types of things, is I find that when I'm calling people and I talk to people, if I stand up, I sound more confident than if I'm sitting down. I feel much better when I'm standing up if I'm trying to talk to people and get them to help me out and those types of things. All right, so I think we're wrapping up here. I think we'll wrap it up here for tonight. I want to thank everybody for their questions. I want to thank everybody who's told me that they've passed the road test. Congratulations on that. Good luck to those coming up in the next week. If you have any questions at all, if you're watching on the replay, leave a comment down in the comment section. I try and get to all the questions every day and help people out. So leave a comment, share the video. That helps other people who are going for a road test, preparing for a road test, and helps them to be successful on the road test regardless of class of license and regardless of where they are in the world. We can help them all out. So share the videos, and if you haven't subscribed already, consider subscribing. We really welcome you to the Smart Drive Test community. And again, I'd like to thank Corey for moderating. Corey does an awesome job on moderating and getting the videos up for people to help them out. So thank you, Corey, for all of that work. It's really great. And thank you again for all your questions. And again, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments there, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. For people with a road test this week, good luck on that. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.